Hello. Last up. Sometimes the best place to be, sometimes the worst. See a few people I know. My name is Esther Clarke. I am 41 years of age. I have two children, a 7-year-old and a nearly 16-year-old. That's pretty exhausting in itself. I have a husband who's wonderful. He's here. Yeah, I would say that anyway. And I run my own business. I run a company called Type AB, and it's a communications company. I'm also a practicing Zen Buddhist. So you'd think, practicing Zen Buddhist, probably pretty focused, probably pretty grounded. I've always been focused. I'm continually focused. And I'm continually focused because I'm wired. I don't really have any bad habits aside from my coffee addiction, my sugar addiction, my social media addiction. But aside from that, I don't have any of those bad habits that might keep me wired. What keeps me wired is my constant adrenaline. I am on the go 24 hours a day. Look at me, don't I look exhausted? I never switch off. It's go, go, go. I go to meetings, I go to meet people, I go back to my office, I go to the computer, I go to meet other people, I go to my car. When I get up in my daily routine, I have a constant list of questions. Where's my school uniform? What are we having for breakfast? Are you driving me to school? When are you briefing me on that interview that I'm doing for the media? When are you going to have that report? I get home from work. What time is dinner? Will you help me with my homework? Are we going out tonight? What are we doing at the weekend? Questions, questions, questions. I am truly exhausted. And then, of course, there's my social media persona. That's a whole other job in itself. I have to make sure that I update my status all the time. I'm funny, I'm witty, you want to be me. My life is great. I'm constantly running about the place doing great, exciting things. My life is much more exciting than your life, and I make it all look effortless. In fact, what has happened to me over the years is that I've stopped actually interacting like this, looking at people in the eye, and more and more and more. It's through text, it's through email, it's through Twitter, it's through Facebook. So imagine that. Less interaction with the human being, more technological interaction. So it's great that technology got more and more advanced as I went along, as I got busier. I didn't really need to have to worry about people's phone numbers, what their mailing address was, because guess what? I had a contacts book in the iCloud. That did it for me. I didn't need really to worry about where I was meeting people, who I was meeting, and what time I was meeting them at. My iCloud would take care of that. So again, more and more interaction just with technology. I didn't even need to phone someone to ask them where we had to meet. And then one day, my mum died. And this little voice came into my head. And you'd think to yourself, well, what's the relevance of this? Why is she telling us that her mum died? Is this an episode of The X Factor? Do we need to have the sad story now? I'm telling you this because when my mum died, there wasn't a big flashlight moment. Things changed dramatically, but in a different kind of way. But what happened was a little voice started to say in my head, what about if all the stuff that you're using to connect you to people is actually separating you from people? I got hundreds of messages on my Facebook page from people sharing their condolences with me. Really sweet messages. And don't get me wrong, every message was just so supportive at a really dreadful time. It really meant a lot to get all of those messages. But I was turning more and more to those messages as opposed to talking to people about what actually was going on. And then one day, somebody with really great intentions sent me a sad emoticon, as if I might have forgotten that I was sad, because my mum had died, so of course I was sad. But I started to think to myself, do you know what? This has actually got a bit crazy. There's something that I and millions of people around the world are missing out on, and that's emotion. We're communicating, but there's no emotion. We have to use graphic symbols to tell us how to feel. So I was sad, so you had to send me a sad face. I'll say something on my status, but so you don't take offense, I'll put a little face winking. That'll make you know that it was a wee joke, tongue-in-cheek. So with less and less human interaction and this less of emotion, we were having less facial expressions, hence the emoticon. We're having less tone of voice. You don't know if I'm angry or if I'm sad by the way that I type something. You can't feel that come through. But also as well, there was no touch, no actual human touch. Ironically enough, before I did this talk, I decided that I would just figure out just how bad my addiction was, so I found an app. I like apps as well. And the app was able to tell me that since my joining of Facebook on the 13th of December 2007, I have spent 29 days, 17 hours, and 57, probably 59 minutes by now, interacting on that platform. Let's put that into perspective. I'm telling you here that I have a really busy life. I'm telling you that I don't really have that much time to talk to people. Most of my conversations with people happen when I'm traveling from one place to the next, not when I'm just sitting still. So for 29 days, that's almost a month. 1 month where I'm too busy to visit my father. 1 month where I'm too busy to play with my 7-year-old child. 1 month where I'm too busy to listen to my teenage daughter who's got something really important to say to me. 1 month that I will never get back. So, a little while ago, in my job, I was working with a group of people. And the task at hand was we had to come up with a creative way to regenerate a town through culture. So we were basically writing a cultural regeneration strategy. This town had had many, many years of social deprivation. People really, when they found out I was going here to try and reinvigorate it with culture, they were like, yeah, right. Kind of like how people were about Derry and the City of Culture thing before it actually happened. And we were walking through this town, and it really was in a sorry state. And we were walking through the main street, and I'm with this group of 10 consultants. And I'm really trying to impress upon them that, yes, there is a lot of culture here, and yes, we can really regenerate this town using culture. I was finding it difficult to kind of believe it myself. The rain was coming down, it was grey, the buildings were looking more than neglected. And then for some reason, something happened, and I looked up. And when I looked up, I saw the most amazing buildings. Buildings that had been built by people when they had had a passion and a pride for the town that I was in. They weren't covering anything up. They were absolutely displaying how they felt about that place. So I got everybody to walk back down that high street, but this time I said to them, look up. And that became our kind of catchphrase for our whole cultural regeneration. So then I started to think to myself, what would happen if I employed that idea throughout the whole of my life? When was the last time that I'd actually gone to a concert and nobody was busy looking at it through their phone, getting it focused correctly so they could upload it onto Vimeo or Facebook or YouTube to tell their friends how great it was? When was the last time I'd been to a concert where every single person in that room was being touched emotionally like music can touch you? When they were all really, truly present? When was the last time I had gone out to dinner and everybody hadn't put their phone on the table? When was the last time that I'd been having a conversation and beep, beep, or something similar hadn't interrupted us? So I decided that I was going to set myself a challenge, and I was going to try to live my life by looking up. And so this is what I have decided to do. I have decided that from now on, when I walk from A to B, I'm going to look at someone in the eye and I'm going to say, hello, because usually I'm looking at my phone or I'm talking on my phone because remember, I'm very busy. When I go to a restaurant, I am not going to put my phone on the table. When I get home from work, I'm going to keep my phone in my bag and I'm going to make sure that my family get the very best of me because I'm going to be completely present. When I am talking to people, I'm going to look them in the eye. And you know what? I might even give them a hug. Not a hug made up out of brackets, a proper hug with 2 arms. And then I'm going to do something else that we don't do anymore because we're so caught up in our social media. We're very, very pleased to put up on the status what we're doing. We're very pleased to judge people very quickly on what they say they're doing, because it's really easy to say what you really think about people when you don't have to say it face to face, right? You can judge them, and we all encourage one another to judge what people on what they say on their status. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something just for the sake of doing it. And I'm not going to put up a status to seek approval or validation from anybody. I'm just going to do it. Now remember, 29 days, 17 hours, 57 minutes. I love my Facebook. I put on my Facebook last night that I was coming to do a TED Talk and that I was really pretty terrified about it. When you do things like this, you do ask yourself 24 hours ahead, why do I do this to myself? I sat and I waited to see how many people noticed that I'm doing the TED Talk? How many people have liked the status? Who's liked the status? What kind of things are they saying? How much validation are they giving me? So I've decided now that I don't need that validation anymore. And like a proper true addict, the only way that you can really get over your problem is to keep it out of your way. So in front of you all, I, Esther Clarke, Facebook addict, I'm going to delete my Facebook app. Yeah. We were going to put this on the big screen, but we were worried it might technically go wrong. So you have to trust me. No. I've got to do the app. I'm coming to that. You've stolen my punchline. So you can see that this is my Facebook, okay? So if I just close this down, and now we're hoping that this goes right. If I hold on to it, all of these should start to jiggle about the place. This is a really emotional moment for me. I don't really know what I'm going to do from now on in because, as my children say, they know the top of my head better than they know my face. So here we go. Do I really want to do it? Yes. Delete. It is gone. But I am going to finish by saying one thing. It's still on my computer at work, one step at a time. Thank you very much.